On this episode of The AutoArchaeologist, we're in Missouri looking at a few cool E-bodies stuffed away in a barn, like this 1973 40 Cuda that was the owner's high school car. This and a lot more, let me tell you. Okay, I'm here in Missouri checking out my friend Steve's collection. That right there behind him is his 1970 Cuda 340. That was his high school car. And Steve, thank you for letting me come document your collection. And what's the story on it?
Hey, no problem. This is the first car I bought. It's actually a yellow car with a black stripe, and I was in my teens, so I made it the way I wanted it, black with a gold color stripe. And it's got gold velvet interior in it, crushed velvet interior in it. It's actually a 4-speed with overhead console and stuff. It was a loaded up 340 4-barrel car.
Okay. And it's not a grand, like I thought it was a Grand Coupe, but it's not.
No.
It's just optioned with
It had
the leather interior.
leather seats. You always got the overhead console with a leather seat car.
Yep.
And the leather seats are in the basement. I still have them, but I stuck some Ford buckets in it that are kind of old school looking junk.
Yep.
It's weird.
That is weird. Oop, there we go. Oh, the aftermarket steering wheel.
Yeah. There's a blah punk radio in it.
Ooh.
Out of a Porsche.
Out of a Porsche?
Yeah. That's what they came in back then.
That's cool. Oh yeah, there it is. 340 on the
hood. The original hood, emblems in the hood.
And then you've modified the engine as well.
A little.
Just a little.
Just when I was a kid,
like I said, your high school car.
I kind of did a little bit to it. I added MSD and dual oil filters for oil flow.
Yeah, you got the MSC old MSC tack drive.
It's got a great big Milodon pan on it. One that the tie rod goes through, you know.
Yep. And this thing is a full tag car. Like my friend Seth, who decoded this, said that if it had one more option, it would have been a double tag car. But that is a 340 6-pack. Obviously, it didn't come from the factory with it.
344 barrel car, but I stuck a 6-pack on it when I was driving it.
Yeah. And it did have a grill in it, but he took it off and he put it on that car right there for the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals. Because we'll show that car in a minute, but that right there is VIN number 470 Cuda 6-pack car. It was the car that was at least, numerically one before the RTS Cuda. And that did show at McCacken a few years ago. But this is so cool, sir. Yeah, we can close it. Or not, we can leave it open. Whatever.
You can see back there more.
That's true.
More light now.
There is more light. Let me just walk around this. And then back here in the corner.
This is just a plain old 446-pack 4-speed Cuda.
Yeah, just a 70 446-pack Cuda just sitting in the corner.
Everything I got is 70s except this one is a 71.
Yeah, just the one. All right. You can see that he also has collected E-body parts through the years. And we'll just get through here real quick. Yep, that right there is a 1970 446-pack plum crazy Cuda. And you said, was this a 4-speed or an automatic?
That's a 4-speed car.
That's a 4-speed. And then here, look at this. He did this, or he had a friend do this.
Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Cudar. And then, it's a brick wall at the bottom. Oh, that's so neat. Hold on one second. This right here is a 1971 Challenger Convertible 318 car that came out of a junkyard here in Missouri. And he bought it in the 90s and was smart enough to rescue it because who knows what would have happened.
It was out of downtown St. Louis. Guy had it. And he left it sit on the street and the city towed it. Then it wound up in that salvage yard and I went over and bought it.
Well, smart that you did. But, I mean, it's not a high-option car from what I think you were saying. But still, it's a 71
convertible. 1,000 of them about.
Yep. Oh, look at the bias ply tires on it. That's crazy. Sunk in the mud or in the dust and dirt. You can see there's one 71 or 70 grill, another 70 grill, 71 tail panel. I think we counted 8 consoles resting on top of it. And then over here is a 1970 Cuda 446 pack car. This is not any 446 pack car. This is VIN number 4 out of Los Angeles. Is BS23VOE10004.
It's also a 4-speed.
It's also a 4-speed. This is the car that numerically is right before the famous RTS Cuda. And we had them both at McCacken back in 2023, I believe. But it's got stuff missing on it now, but it's here. You can see that there's cool cars and parts everywhere. And then here you can see the convertible a little bit better. Oh, you'll see that green AAR Cuda door there. That will come into effect here later in a different video. But here you can see the 318 convertible, 71 a little bit better. Like I said, a few consoles, dashes, air conditioned parts.
Dual sport mirrors. See it? They're still on it.
Yep.
Chrome.
Ooh.
It's got a big dent over here. See?
I see the big dent, yeah. But for, like you said, the junkyard knew this was a cool, rare car.
Yeah, they didn't part it out.
And they just stuck it in the back.
Yeah.
And how about this car, sir? The number 4 car came out of R&R Salvage in Missouri, which is famous in Mopar circles as Ron Slobe rescued a bunch of cool stuff over the years. But how did you get it, sir?
I kept track of it. I went down there when they scrapped everything and bought it. And I know it came from Oklahoma City area, and I've been trying to find the drive line to it because it's. I found the guy that had it in '75. I didn't find out anything before that.
That's cool. Well, that I'll post to show I'll post pictures of this with the RTS that my friend Seth took because I was sleeping at the time he shot that. But this here is just so neat. I love this kind of look. Look at the dirt dauber nest. Thankfully, my rear end did not disturb too much. Oh, this is the best look you'll get at the gold stripe that he put on the car. And this was, he said, parked in what, 2001, 2?
4, I guess.
Was it 4? It was right in that ballpark.
Yeah. That's pearl. That's pearl gold paint.
You can see that there's like a texture to it.
It's got a glow to it.
That's cool, sir. That is so cool. All right. So yeah, let's just go through this again. That's a 6-pack. This right here, 76-pack car.
Yeah.
This is a 340 4-speed car.
And that's a
446-pack 4-speed car. And that's a 71 convertible 318 car. And this is just the first building. So Steve,
I remember cruising back in the 80s in this car, and I made my own traction bars. And there's a big square pad on the back of it. They're chromed. I had them chromed.
Okay.
And I would give it to gas, and people would say, "You're flashing me," because the light was flashing in their face.
Oh, that's funny. That's really cool. Steve is an expert builder of cars and parts and all that. He worked for a bunch of companies here in the Missouri area as one of their high effective employees. But that is really cool. You want to talk about a barn find? Doesn't get more barn findy than this. It was really awesome that Steve allowed me the opportunity to come and document his cars. He doesn't let anyone really do that. At least not that I've been told. So when my friend Seth allowed me to talk to Steve and, become friends with him, it was really an eye-opening experience because the quality and quantity of the cars that he has was really neat to see, especially like his high school car. That was such a unique piece to really delve into. And I wish I had more time to, go over it. Like, I can't believe I forgot to film the interior. And I forgot to photograph the engine bay, but at least I got it overall in both mediums. And all the other cars, I mean, it was just so insane. That 71 convertible, the, pilot car, the 76 barrel, and I know I said 6-pack, and we both did it over and over. It is a 6 barrel, and this was just the first building. There's so much more to come. I am excited to share it. Hey, automotive adventurers! I hope you enjoyed that beginning adventure from my friends. I will say it's a barn. I mean, you'll see later there's tractors and there was animals that used to live in that barn. And it's going to be torn down eventually. He's going to move stuff over to a new place. But I was fortunate enough that he allowed me the opportunity to document the cars as they were. And as I said in the voiceover, these cars, some of them had been there a very long time. Others hadn't been there that long. They've been in the barn, but they've been moved around. Like his 70 high school car, that's been moved in and out a few times. The 70 pilot car obviously had been in and out because it was at McCacken a few years ago, but the others had not. I wish I had more knowledge on how to shoot that better, because me by myself with my little DJI gimbal camera didn't do that justice. And yes, it was a lot of tight spots. Like even my drone couldn't get in there. I wish that I'd had more knowledge to be able to shoot in that space more efficiently, because I know I didn't do it justice. You'll see a lot of cool stuff. There's an AAR Cuda in the next video, and then we got a Hemi car. And get this, I actually will have a car that's for sale. That's a Hemi car in the last video. 66 Coronet 500 Hemi car with the, I think it's the original engine and transmission still with it that he wants to sell. But that will be in probably the last video of this series. There's only 3, I believe, but because I haven't gone through every single video, I did a bunch. But after that, I'm hoping to start a series on Mopar City. I know I teased it last week, but Larry from Mopar City is closing the yard down right now. Like, he's not really taking any orders very much. He thinks he has a buyer for the property, so me and Tim Costello from Mopar Collector's Guide and Tim Costello Images on Facebook and Instagram, we went in there and we tried to document things the best we could. I was there for like 48 hours, not even 48 hours, and I basically focused on the outside stuff. And I got some absolutely incredible drone footage until my drone ended up in a tree. But I'll show a little sneak peek right here on the drone footage because it was really, really cool. Did get the drone back, it's unbroken, but it was just, that ended one day. And then I did video walk around on all the main sections of the yard. I basically did little outlines of every subsection from the E-bodies, B-bodies, early A, late A, C-body stuff. So you'll get a really good idea of what's there. And Tim will have coverage of the inside buildings, because I never even went in the buildings like to walk through and all that, but I didn't actually do any documentation of the inside this time because I ran out of time. But yeah, so that's what was happening this week. The weather again shifted to the poop because it's below freezing again. That's why I don't know if you can hear the heaters going again, because we had snow again last night. Not a lot, but we had a little bit. So this week it's supposed to be in the 30s, 40s, one day in the 50. That one day in the 50, I got to do some maintenance on the blue car. One of the fog lights is out. The sway bar end links are loose again, and the bushings are loose. So I got to retighten them up and some other odds and ends. And at the same time, I'm going to be working on the green car. Got some stuff to sort out on that so I can get ready for spring. Oh, also, I got some stuff. I actually bought something from Mopar City. I bought the missing front lens that our front marker light I needed, and it has a pigtail still with it. The lens, the actual piece isn't good, but the actual chrome, mine is broken in half. I'll see if I have a picture of it. I'll put it up. So this is going on the car as soon as I can. Also, someone showed me about this with modern, like my Challenger. You don't want to jack up directly on the pinch weld. You can, and that's what I've been doing for like 16 years. But this little adapter goes on the pinch weld. There's little magnets that hold it in place, and then you jack it up from there. I will be using it this week. And then, ooh, geez. And then I got my Mo Power Tour stickers. As if you don't know, I lead the Hot Rod Power Tour Mo Power Tour. It's a sub tour in the main tour, not official with Hot Rod Magazine. It's just all of us Mopar guys trying to stick together because we're definitely in the minority. I might have some cool news coming up on this on multiple fronts. We're going to have Mopar Collector's Guide there with me. We're going to have Mopar Connection online magazine there with Kevin Shaw and his daughters in their project. It's a Fury convertible, which you can see on their channel. And I got a lot of other cool stuff. Maybe something with actual Dodge. We'll see. But yeah, so that's what's going on. This coming weekend is Autorama in Detroit. I may go to that. That's kind of still up in the air. If I do, I have other adventures around that I could form. Depends on the weather. Right now, the weather is, you don't know what's going to happen. I heard there's going to be a blizzard in New York here shortly. But otherwise, my next absolutely planned trip will be the Indy Mopar Swap in early March. And then I'll start really knocking stuff out. I got stuff in Southwest Michigan to do. I got stuff in Central Michigan to do. I got stuff in Missouri to do. So we'll see. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing from followers because all comments are good comments, even if they're negative. I learn from them. And I'll keep you guys up to date on my socials, which are always down below. But Monday, new drop. Otherwise, I will see everyone soon. You guys stay safe.